Hello and welcome to Hello Malaysia with me, Suryati Sanusi, and my co-host.
And I'm Putri Mahira.
Right,
and for today, Sue, we'll be talking about on the topic of coexist.
Right.
In conjunction with the International Day of Tolerance, which falls on the
16th of November. We have Datin Paduka Marina Mahathir, a human rights activist, and on her right we have Uncle Joe, or Joe Chelliah, an ex-educator. That's what he wants to be known as, an ex-educator. But slash musician slash something else as well.
A multi-talented educator, yes.
Right, so we are here to talk about what do you think about the word tolerance itself and what does it mean to you?
Well, I was a bit surprised to find out there was an International Day of Tolerance. So
Right.
I looked it up on the UNESCO website.
Right.
And it's been around since 1995.
Right.
I was looking through all the principles, and it does face the question of tolerance versus understanding and respect, and it does mention, it underscores that it's not meant to be something condescending, that you don't just tolerate people, but you don't want to know anything else about them or anything. It is about respect. It is about understanding differences, with whatever it's based on, and that we're all human beings on this earth, and we're all equal.
Right, and people may session. So Uncle Joe kept saying, I came from the olden days where tolerance is a bit different. So now let's hear what tolerance is all about from you, Uncle Joe.
Well, I do have a background as an English teacher. So the word tolerance has to be seen in its original context too, not just in any particular situation. For example, even our body has a tolerance level for sugar.
Yes.
For example,
Right.
Even if you want to do push-ups, there's a tolerance level.
Right.
So basically, when you're talking about tolerance, we are referring to something that which can exceed, as we say in Malay, dah over sikit ni.
Okay.
So you're saying even tolerance has a limit?
Yes, anything has a limit. I mean, most of us, we tolerate so many things. Sometimes we even tolerate our parents.
Right.
Right? So, the word tolerance is seen in this context of the International Day of Tolerance. I think it's more specifically deals with human relations, and in that context, human relations would also imply that multiracial, different nations, tolerance, and so there is one school of opinion though that feels that the word tolerance is already in its initial context a negative sounding word.
Right.
For want of a better word, I suppose. But I mean, I can tolerate a lot of things, but it does not imply automatically that you respect or the mutual live and let live.
Can you just put up with something?
Right, like you ignore, like I tolerate you by not just by just ignoring you. I tolerate
I'll
you.
just put up with it,
Right.
and that's it. It's not.
But that's not it.
That's not what we're talking about here.
Right.
I think also with this comes an awareness too that others have to put up with you. That tolerance is a two-way path.
Right.
Because it's just not me tolerating you. I mean, you might be tolerating my patai smell or whatever. I told you earlier, we had this problem.
Yes.
When we had our neighbors who were Malays who were eating patai. So we were living next door. They had to tolerate our kemayan smell, So but we got along fine.
Right.
It's a live and let live situation.
Okay, talking about back then, I mean, most of when I talk to people about tolerance, and they say, in olden days, back in the 70s, 60s, or beyond that, it was easier in Malaysia. People tolerate each other, people respect each other. It was easier then. It's harder now, especially with the internet. Do you agree on that? I'll ask Uncle Joe first before I go to that thing.
Well, there was very much less social concourse in the olden days, just because there was less interconnectivity or connectivity. Each we lived in our little towns or little rubber estates or little kampongs, and we knew that the Indians celebrated in a certain way. The Chinese will burst their crackers, and today the situation is totally different, where You just cough, it's already over viral on the internet, you know. So in the context of today, the basic principles still remain of a live and let live spirit that we have inherited from our fathers and forefathers, which needs to be nurtured. And it can be done.
Right.
So the question now is how?
Right.
The solution to this.
Okay. Okay.
Well, she was talking about the economical economy factor in this problem of tolerance or intolerance. Well, I would put it more in a sociological frame,
Okay.
where our society is totally different then and now. I mean, having lived for 70 years, I see it in shades of time.
Right.
So, you see, in those days, there was little connectivity. The wants were less, the needs were met, and people were happy. Now, today, we begin to see more. We travel more. We have come out of the rubber estates. We have come out, putting it in a Malaysian context, come out of the kampongs, come out of the new villages and so on, and we begin to see, hey, dia ada, saya tak ada, why?
So you want more.
So the wants have gone, the needs are there. The basic needs is nothing. I mean, we all have enough to eat. We all have a roof over our head. Our children have enough schools to go to. The needs are not there. It's the wants. And you see somebody else having more than you. You say, why can't I also have this?
Right.
And as Datin has rightfully put it, politicians are always there
To politicize.
take this kind of things,
And make it into an issue.
membesarkan, and there was dissatisfaction in the 50s, in the 60s, 70s, but not to that extent of what we might see now, where it's a half-half situation.
Right.
So this is the thing that has to be addressed.
Right. Okay.
And